Now, the other major news story for today, well, there's lots going on, but the other one I want to cover is this bombshell story out of the Supreme Court. So let's get into that. I want to play this clip to get us started. You're going to love this, but Supreme Court has come down big on the side of MAGA, of Trump, of no woke, and specifically of Tennessee. Check this out.
So to the trans activists over there claiming that this is all about the rights of children, I say again, yes, you're right, it is. They have a right to be protected from you. Children have a right to be protected from all of those people over there who want to harm them and damage them and destroy them. And they will be. They are going to lose. They are losing right now. We are not going to let them harm our children. This case is just the beginning of the fight. It is not the end. We are not going to rest until every child is protected, until trans ideology is entirely erased from the earth. That's what we're fighting for, and we will not stop until we achieve it.
So, just so everybody knows, Tennessee passed a landmark piece of legislation about a year and a half ago that basically said you cannot give any gender-affirming care to minors. You cannot socially transition them. You cannot chemically transition them. You cannot surgically transition them. None of it. It all constitutes child abuse. And specifically in the bill, they call it mutilation. And any doctor that performs it is subject to losing their license and is subject to civil and criminal penalties. Well, of course, all of the LGBTQ activist groups filed suit. They got some injunctions, whatnot. All of this has rolled up to the Supreme Court, and let's just say that it has not gone the LGBTQ activists' way. Check this out.
Court is upholding Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth. Now, this delivers a major blow to the trans community. Let's just go through this Tennessee law. It restricts hormone therapy and puberty blockers for transgender minors, and it also punishes doctors if they provide such care.
In addition to saying that this is not a sex discrimination law, he really highlighted the policy implications, saying this case carries with it the weight of fierce scientific and policy debates about the safety, efficacy, and propriety of medical treatments in an evolving field. We leave questions regarding its policy to the people, their elected representatives, and the democratic process. And then, Aaron, Justice Sotomayor, writing for the liberals in dissent, really said that the chief had recharacterized this law, that it was truly about sex discrimination. And she concluded by saying, by retreating from meaningful judicial review exactly where it matters most, the court abandons transgender children and their families to political whims.
On the contrary, they absolutely protected transgender youth from the medical mutilation machine that wants to destroy them for social ideology, political ideology, and money. There is huge, huge money involved for every child that goes through this, both on the initial surgical side and then on the lifelong treasure trove of pharmaceutical drugs that they have to purchase for the next 60, 70, 80 years of their life. And the Supreme Court has absolutely come down on the side of non-woke and MAGA. So check this specifically. Let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to dive right into this last clip. Here we go.
Following some breaking news this morning, right now, as you take a live look here in Washington, as we are watching the Supreme Court this hour, ruling is coming down. So this just in, the Supreme Court is upholding a Tennessee law restricting gender-altering procedures for minors. That's a big win there for Tennessee. The 6-3 ruling is likely to have a broad impact on...
And this is why I did want to cover that. It's a 6-3 rule. This is not 5-4. This is not really even that close. This was the ultra left-wing judges voting and everybody else, even Roberts, coming down on the side of no. Tennessee can absolutely do this. We are not in the business of adjudicating policy. This law does not violate the Constitution, and we're not going to get involved in debates about policy. This is fantastic.
Not just Tennessee, but 24 other states that have already enacted laws similar to the one in Tennessee, again, banning gender-altering procedures for minors. So a big one there. That stops transition surgery, puberty blockers, hormone therapy. Again, for minors, those laws are now likely to face similar legal challenges as well.
The court, in an opinion authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, concluded that the Tennessee law does not constitute a form of sex discrimination that would violate the Constitution's 14th Amendment. The legal challenge had been brought on by the Biden administration, as well as transgender teenagers and their families. Judge Anna Napolitano is here with us in studio. We called him up. We said, Judge, we've got an opinion. Right. We've got to get your analysis on it. A big win for parents, by the way, at least in this case, who wanted to prevent minor children from transition.
Yes, it's also a win for the right of the states to legislate for the health, safety, welfare, and morality of the people in those states. By requiring certain procedures be followed and prohibiting the administration of certain procedures on minors. This is, of course, a very, very significant ruling because it will affect the law, as you said, in 23 other states. But it upholds the power of the states to legislate for the welfare of children, and it upholds the power of the states to regulate the medical profession. There's no...
This is absolutely huge. You've got almost half the states saying hell no to this gender mutilation nonsense in the name of gender affirming care. Tennessee was the first, and it was by far so far the most stringent law, but it opens the door for every other conservative red state to say we are not going to let this happen. Hopefully Texas follows suit very quickly.
According to the majority, and it's a very well-reasoned and long opinion, there's no federal constitutional implication here. The three liberal justices dissented and argued that this is treating people differently on the basis of sex. Now, that's very significant, the use of the word sex. When the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was written in 1964, the word sex really meant gender. There were only two recognizable genders.
According to the Trump administration, there are only two recognizable genders. According to science, there are only two recognizable genders. There's only two DNA profiles. There's XX and XY. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no XXY, XYX. There's none of that. There's only two. Now, are there certain genetic anomalies that do not create a third gender? Yes, there are some genetic deformations, but they are not in any way, shape, or form a third gender.
There are only two genders today, in the opinion of a lot of us. However, people do things to their bodies that allows them to hold themselves out as being transgendered. In response to that, the Supreme Court reinterpreted the word sex to mean all things sexual. So the challengers said, if the Civil Rights Act of '64 prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, why are you discriminating on this basis for us? The Supreme Court said this is not a discrimination on the basis of sex. It's a regulation for the health, safety, welfare, and morality of children, well within the authority of the states.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing about this. I don't think anybody in America really, I'm going to say anybody. The vast majority of Americans do not want to tell mature adults that they can't go do this if they want. If you are an adult and you feel that you want to go transition your body, if you want to spend your own money and mutilate your own body and go manifest yourself as the opposite gender, go right ahead. No one's going to stop you. But you cannot do this to children. It is tantamount, it is child abuse. Minors cannot consent to sexual activity. They cannot sign contracts. They cannot work jobs. For all of the same reasons, they are not mature enough to make those decisions. If you ask my children what they want to eat every day, they would basically say cake, cookies, soda pop, and cereal. And that's it. And chicken nuggets. They would eat nothing else. That's why I don't let them make some of those decisions. Not every single day. They certainly are not mature enough to make decisions about sex, about gender, about healthcare, about any of that. They are not mature enough. That's why this law and all of the ones in all the other states specifically prohibit this for minors. If you're an adult and you want to do this, have at it. But do not do this to children who have no say in the matter. So awesome. Supreme Court has come down on the side of the based Americans, of conservative Americans, of the non-woke Americans. And I think this might actually be the nail in the coffin of the entire woke agenda. We'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Thanks so much for being here. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. Thanks so much.